right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday on this June 27th. Okay. All right. Well, will the market make a new high? Let's take a look at the overall markets before we start getting into individual stocks. But it's starting to move up there, so it'll be kind of interesting to see what next week brings. All right, purpose of Stock Analysis Friday, of course, is to look up stocks that you're interested in. Maybe you got a call from your broker to buy something or even sell something and you want a second opinion. Bring it here, and we're glad to take a look at it from a technical standpoint. We don't talk about fundamentals here, so we purely look at the charts and give you kind of a different approach or aspect, maybe some of the analysis you're used to from a fundamental standpoint. All right, so let me go through a few administrational items. And the first thing, of course, is we have to make you be aware of the risks involved in investing or even trading in the financial markets. Doesn't really matter what you trade, there's always that possibility of loss. So you have to realize that. There's no guarantees in the markets. All right, I had to cut the background music off. All right, so realize that there are risks involved in trading in the financial markets. We deal in a realm of probabilities when we go in, so there's no guarantees. So you have to be aware of that. So therefore, you have to use risk control on each and every trade and also trade with risk capital. Now, when we look at stocks today, I'm going to make a recommendation based on my opinion and using my software tools. And so definitely check with your financial advisor to be sure that it's suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation, and they hopefully do. They certainly should, right? All right, so books that are available. I've got 2 books on risk control if you need help in that area. My latest book, The Art of Trading, came out this year, and it's a big book. It's about 608 pages. I think it's the best book I've written to date, and the reviews are coming in, and they're good. And I'm glad about that because I put a lot of work in that. So I'll put a link in the recording for any of our books or even our software tools. We have a complete suite of charting software. We have scanners that work in a variety of different platforms and risk control software as well. All right, and then finally, give us a like today and let's get going. I first want to start out talking a little bit about the overall markets. And the first thing I want to put up here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average chart. And yes, the NASDAQ and the S&P charts are very similar to this at this point. And really what we had is we had this sell-off down here, all right? Now we've almost had a V-shaped bottom, and we've come up quite a bit. Now, we're in a little bit of an area of price structure here where we had basically some order blocking here, and as well as some consolidation. So this marks an area of resistance that's possible, or if the market breaks through here, it will become an area of support. So we're right in it right now. And so let's see what happens next week, if we can get above that, or we may get a little bit of a move down as well. If we do a measured move, I think we'll break the high at some point, maybe not next week, but maybe in a couple of weeks. So it's looking, I think, pretty good. Now, one of our indicators is red down here, and this is the PTF. And this has a 75% probability. So when it's red, find the lowest low in the red area, and that's here. And there is a 75% probability the market should eventually drop below that. All right, so what does that mean? Well, are we going to make another high and then have the sell-off? Or are we going to hit this resistance here and have it move down, sell it off here? So we're going to have to wait and see. I personally think it could go either way at this particular point. I've seen it happen both ways on a lot of individual stocks that we look at. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, I do think even if we make another high, we're then in a territory where we have to be ultra careful, because I think after that we could get a bear market. All right, so I think that's on the horizon. I will say for short-term trading, hey, it's okay to be long right now. I would not personally be buying any long-term investments here. All right. Look at Warren Buffett. He just basically is in T-bills right now. He's sold a lot of his stuff. He's sitting in cash. The guy ain't stupid. Okay. He's doing that because he feels the market's overvalued. If it wasn't, he'd be in more stocks right now. So I think that's something you have to take in account as well. And tops can last a long time. All right. So now if you want a more detailed view on this, every Sunday I do a comprehensive breakdown of the market, including the NASDAQ and the S&P, in a service we call the Market Opportunity Report, MOR. And I do a video on Sundays and a complete report on Sundays as well. And in that report, we have stock pick recommendations. So that may be something you're interested in. And again, I'll put the link down in the recording, or you can go to our website at traderscoach.com if that interests you. All right, so we'll see what happens. We're kind of in a critical area. It'd be kind of fun to see exactly what happens next week. All right, Bitcoin is one more I want to take a look at here. Let me just bring that up real quick here. And Bitcoin, I think, is poised to make another high as well. And my feeling is that Bitcoin in the market will probably coincide with a all-time high here sometime before year end. And then personally, the way I look at Bitcoin here, this is a sell zone up here, which is our target. This is a buy zone down here. And we're kind of moving our way up into the sell zone. It could move back into the buy zone, but eventually I think we should get up to about 129 to 164 in Bitcoin. And then I plan to sell it myself. So you can decide what you want to do. If you want to give some to your grandchildren and put it under your pillow, so be it. But you might have to weather a bear market in Bitcoin before it goes back up. So just kind of note that. All right. With that said, let's move on here. All right. Ed, how are you? Good to have you aboard. And welcome. Ed purchased some of our software this week. So good to have you here. All right. So EBS, let's take a look here for you on EBS. So you're up 5%. Good job. All right. So we'll take a quick look. Okay. A couple things on EBS. One is it's really an excellent, in terms of probability, good time to get in it. If you look at the weekly chart over here, we've got a green PTF here. So we should get eventually a move above here. We're hoping this bottom, right, holds here. All right, it's not unusual to get a pullback in the market. And this is what usually can cause our double bottom, right, before it goes. So the way I usually play this is that I usually put a stop here. All right, this is such a cheap stock, and I don't know how much of it you have, but that will depend on whether you want to have a stop here or let it just unfold. But in any case, it's in a little bit of a channel here. We had a pullback, and you can start to see a little bit of this move up off here. And this is kind of the channel between here and here. So if you're in it already, you're up 5%. I probably would go ahead and hold it. If you're trying to get the bigger return up around 15 and double your money, all right, you may have to endure ups and downs in this channel where your profit could slide. And that's trading. I mean, sometimes you got to decide how much profit you're going to give up in order to stay in the position. So I don't think it's a bad one to stay in, but if it channels for a little bit, it could be a while. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at CELH. Okay. So we've looked at this one before, and a couple things to point out here. All right. So you are up 25%. And this is exactly the benefit of getting in early on a trend reversal like we've had here. You can make some pretty good money pretty quick. And then you've got to decide if this is indeed a new trend or a dead cat bounce. And what I've done here is on the daily chart here, I've indicated probably a scenario where it's a dead cat bounce. And at this, if you got in the 20s, you could still double your money on these dead cat bounces. But if it continues through, then you'll do really, really well. I don't see any reason to get out of this. All right, I'd stay with it right now. You're up 25%. We've got some pyramid trading points here that you could certainly use to trail your stop up. And since we're above 23.6 in the retracement, I'd use them. Okay, you could either use this one or the closer one. All right, so I'll let you decide on how you want to do that. If we look at the weekly chart over here, notice that we get a little bit bigger picture of the structure where this trend turned around. So whenever you see structure like that, and some people call it context, okay, then that's a good sign. And notice we do have a significant PTF on that weekly chart calling for a new trend to the upside. So I would hold this, and hopefully you'll get another 25%, if not more, on that. Okay. All right. And then finally, TER for you, potential buy. Let's take a look at that one. All right. This one a little different. If we didn't have red PTF down here, I'd say yes. I like it. There's structure. And let's draw that out here. You can see it on the weekly chart easy. And that's the same structure that you can draw here as well. So when price reaches structure, obviously, then we look for some pyramids to form, and that's exactly what's happened. So again, if this was not a red PTF, I would be all over this. So I'm concerned with this, that this indeed probably is a dead cat bounce. And if that's the case, we're probably already at the retracement area, which would be anywhere. I'll draw it in there, which would be, let me do that on the weekly chart, which would be somewhere between here and here. You see, so we're close to that. Doesn't mean it can't go back up, but it's getting kind of close. So I'd probably pass on this one, unfortunately. All right. And if these PTFs change, then things will change as well. All right. Anyway, thanks, Ed. Okay. And welcome aboard. All right. Al, how are you? MSGS. MSGS. All right. I don't know, Al, if you're already long, if you're thinking about it. But in this case here, nice move up here. Personally, I probably would not be going in this one. And the reason is it's already jumped up quite a bit, and it has a gap here, and there's a tendency to fill that gap. So let's revisit this when we come back down into that gap. You might have a good buying opportunity. Okay, let's take a look at your next one, WEN. If you're in it, I'd stay in it for now and just trail your stop up. All right, this one, red PTF on the weekly chart. And so that kind of concerns me. We've got a lot of liquidity down here below, what, $7 or something. We do seem to have some bullishness creeping back in. You may get a little bit of a bounce here, something like that. And that would be 13 to 15. So I don't think it's, if you didn't have the red PTF on the weekly, I'd probably be more apt to get in this. But it still has not proven itself to be in a trend up at all right now. It had one blip, pull back. That would be a trend. We haven't seen that. And you don't have a pyramid either, a bullish pyramid on the way up here. Okay, so that's kind of where I'd leave that. LFCR, let's take a look at that one. All right, so these are all considered for long trades, I get it. All right, okay, messy one, huh? Just a little bit of messy one. So you've got a green PTF here indicating a high above this mark here. And that's probably exactly the liquidity, I think, that's going to be broken. So I think that's a really good possibility of getting to 11. All right. If you put your stop at the safer area 5 here, then what do you got? A risk of what? 3 and a profit of probably 3.5. So you'd have a 1-to-1 risk to reward. If you put it closer on this pyramid here at 6.5, that would be better. So a couple things. You have a big breakup. We'll probably get a little pullback. but I think this one's a go. And your pyramid, I put your pyramid, I put your stop under this pyramid right here. Okay. So on this one here, this is a good one, I think, for everybody to consider. And I would say LFGR is a buy. And I think my target on this, guys, would be this high here on the weekly chart. The PTFs are green on both, but this PTF here is very close. That's here. This is the one I think you want to shoot for. And if that's the case, that high would be 11.46. So that's what I would be shooting for. And my stop would be at 6.63, right under this closest pyramid there. Okay. So that one looks pretty good. That's a buy. See, we can always find at least one, right? All right. Let's keep going here. And a happy Friday to you too, Al. All right. And Stuart, how are you, Stuart? All right, SIRI, I'm assuming you are long on these. I'm going to assume that, but we'll give an analysis regardless, okay? So let's see what we got. All right, we're probably considering a long maybe, because this is, I don't think you would have held this all the way down here. So the question is, are we at a bottom? All right, and on the weekly chart, we've got some things starting to go in the right direction. Bullish divergence, and you have bullish divergence here. We still have an active pyramid here. So from a longer term weekly standpoint, technically the shorts would still be short with a stop above that pyramid, but we're getting a new minor pyramid forming down here. Here, you've got a green PTF for up here. So I'm thinking, do you see this channel here? We kind of want to see a breakout here before we do anything. You don't have any active pyramids down there. You'll still have an active pyramid, bearish pyramid on the weekly chart. But that would be not a bad entry with a stop under the bottom of the channel. So that's kind of, I would put this on a watch list. I'm not going to recommend it as a buy because I think it's got to do that first, okay? And then let's take a look at Merck here, MRK. And Merck, very similar situation. I like both of these as potentials. You can see the pyramids on the weekly chart. That would have been a nice little trade all the way down to where prices are currently with a stop right at 85. All right, so you got a channeling here. You still have an active pyramid on the actual bearish active pyramid on the daily chart. But notice how the pyramids here, that's what I love about the pyramids. Notice how in this area here, they tell you there's a channel when there is a up and down one. And those are unconfirmed. They won't be confirmed until prices break out either way. But if they break to the upside, this will form as a green one with a P here. And this other one will disappear. And if it breaks down, then this one will form as a bearish pyramid and the bullish possibility will go away. Okay, so that's how the pyramids work. So you got to wait for a breakout. My concern, though, is here is a more significant support up here as well. So while these pyramids are isolating a tight channel, you've got another one we've got to break above there as well. So I think I'd wait for the pyramid and then go for it, okay? I would put this one on the watch list at this point. Merck, of course, is a big company. You know, if it starts to move and become on people's radar, people will start to jump in on it. And you've had a heck of a nice pullback on it. So from a value standpoint, you'll have people kind of watching this. So I kind of like it. I would wait for the breakout, maybe take an early entry even before it takes the P out and do it that way, okay? But not right this second. Just wait a little longer. All right, Al is back. Short, APA. Let's see what he's got for some shorts here. Let that load out and I'll take a look. Okay, so he's thinking of a short here. So here's a situation where we have a green PTF on the daily and then a red one on the weekly. So the way you read this is from shorter time frame to higher time frame. So this is the daily, this is the weekly. So you're going to be reading it from left to right, right? So what we anticipate happening before what's going to happen on the right-hand side is we probably will break above this high here, okay? So that's kind of what I'm thinking could happen before we sell off. So this is saying, hey, sell off coming. This one over here is saying, well, we're still got one more leg up before we go into the sell off. So I would wait for that to play out. Okay, don't do that yet. ADXC, and give that a second to load. Ooh, that's a wild one. All right, now this is like a penny stock. All right, I'm not going to give you an analysis on this one, but I think you have to. Hopefully I typed this in right. ADXC, yep. So you're on your own on this one, okay? I can't make any analysis because it is basically so illiquid that it's kind of flat. Okay, so let's let that one go. All right, ACB. Give that a second to load. All right. So this one, I get why you're thinking this, but again, I don't like to go against my PTF unless it's I've got some very clear direction, maybe on Elliott wave or something. But it looks to me like this would be a better possibility at some point for a long. I don't think I would go short on this at this time. Notice we had a turnaround right here at the structure here. So I'm thinking more of a buy would be better suited than a short right there at the structure there. And we have a green PTF. I'm not going to put this on a buy list right now because it hasn't proven itself enough yet that structure will hold. But we did get a turnaround at the structure. So I kind of want to see here is maybe a pyramid forming here before it takes off, okay? So I would put this actually on the watch list for a long position, not a short, okay? All right, let's keep going here. And Stu is back with Nike, good old Nike, okay. Let's see what we got. Okay, long is gapping up 15% today, all right? Both OWL and PTF turns green on the daily today. All right, so depending on how you have your setting on the OWL and PTF, mine are still red, okay? So that's kind of interesting, right? So, and they're not close to changing either. So sometimes, I don't know what platform you're using, but if you're using NinjaTrader, make sure you have your price on the indicator set to close, okay? So in this case here, we may get a turn on the OWL pretty soon. The PTF could turn green pretty soon, but right now it's not. So again, I don't like to go against those. And, it's just going to be a flash, couple-day flash, and then another move to the downside. I don't know. All right, we'll see. And you can certainly see on the weekly chart, we've had these kind of dramatic moves up followed by more selling. And it's happened over, these are all like bear flags. So this looks pretty good, I got to admit, in terms of a bounce off this bottom for some follow through. But the rule base that I use, I can't go against the PTF at this point, okay? All right, let's keep going here. All right. Let's see, SMCI. All right, so this one here, long, okay. Nice pullback off the bottom. We got green PTFs on both time frames. We've got the OWL now on the weekly turning green. We already have it here green. We had a pyramid early on. This would have been a great entry. Even if it broke the channel here, if you waited for that, that would be fine. But this would have been fine too because you had a bottom here and your first move off here. And if you waited for a green OWL, you'd be in right here and your stop would already be in profitable territory. So now, I think probably if you look at this as more of a longer term trade, this is an excellent buy at this time. And notice the weekly chart certainly is moving off its bottom. And yeah, I like it. So let's put SMCI a buy, but you got to be a little careful. You got to give this thing enough room to really start to move. So let me just see. I personally would want to, let's see if there's any fair value gaps. You got some, you're going to have to put the stop probably, well, this is a pretty good area here. I would put the stop under this price bar right here, okay, on the weekly chart. And the reason I say that is you had a fair value gap here, prices came down to it, perfect entry, and now they've bounced off and it's not too late to get in. I anticipate this going probably all the way up at least to here, okay? So this is a double your money situation, and so I'm liking it. Your only problem with this is if you have your stop too close at these initial stages, you can get stopped out before reaching here. So give it some room. Even here would be okay, all right? So at the very least, I'm going to tell you the price on this price bar has a low of what, 32.95. So you need to be under that at a minimum, okay? So that's kind of where we're at there. All right, that's a good one. Now, yes. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. Eleanor, how are you? I think you're next. Okay, AVGO. Okay, and you're already in this and long, and a good one to be in that and long, right? Now, we've looked at this before, and again, the power of Fibonacci, right? So this was an area of a buy zone here, and this represented a fib retracement off this wave 3 top. So we hit that. All right, and now look, we're going back up. So this is my target, all right, 282 to 372 on that. And that's a fib extension, and we're at 271. So I think here it looks like the PTFs have now gone neutral. So they were helpful to stay in the trade, but now you got to be careful. I'd have my stop right here at this pyramid bottom, and that bottom has a low price bar of 244.17, so you need to be under that at what, ticker 2, maybe 244.15, okay? And that's what you have to do, because it could go up quite a bit higher, but it also might not, okay? It might just touch that, might just touch that target and then bounce down. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work. All right, I don't know what happened to that chart. It's a bummer when that happens. All right, there we go. Now we're back. All right, so I'm liking that. I'm not going to recommend this one for everybody because it's too late to get in. All right, but for you, Eleanor, you did a good job on that. AMD. So I'd stay with it, put a stop under that pyramid point I showed you. All right, so this one, same similar thing. It's still moving up off its bottom here. And again, you know, if you ever wonder, well, you know, where on a downtrend, where could it possibly turn around? Look to the left and see if you can find structure, okay? And the more structure you have, the better, okay? So that's one structure area. But then look here, let me just erase that and then draw this, all right? You had structure here as well, over here, okay? So when you have a confluence of things, you know, overlapping, then that's a pretty good sign. And they took out equity here, and notice the bounce back to the upside. You got green PTFs. All right. So if you're in this one, you stay in it at this point. To me, it looks like we could break the high here now and go all the way back up. And, you know, again, pyramids are still long. You could put your stop below this pyramid at this point at 115.06. All right, which will give it enough room to keep going up. If you're a really super short-term trader, you could always throw a trend line in as well, okay? But that's a good one, but I'm not going to, you know, in terms of recommending this to other folks, I kind of, at this particular point, think it's still a pretty good trade. So I think I'm going to recommend this one. Just make sure your stop, all right, gives it enough room. That's the only thing. So AMD will put on the buy list. All right, META, Meta, Facebook. All right, let's take a look at that one. All right, so this one here went down into the retracement area, about to make a new high. And we're seeing this on quite a few stocks these days, especially in the NASDAQ, of course, but many of those are in the S&P. This is why I think the market's going to make a high, another high overall. And I've been saying this, what, for quite a while now. So we've had a lot of pundits out there thinking that the market is going to sell off. And while I don't disagree with them, a lot of them were thinking we're in the sell-off now. But with so many NASDAQ stocks about to break the high, it certainly seems to me that that's going to drag the market up for another high overall. So I'm anticipating that, and it will bring up Bitcoin with it. And then at that point, when we reach these top targets on individual stocks and indexes, you got to be careful here, because then I expect a major move down. All right. So I think a bear market is on the horizon. I just don't think it's quite here yet. So on this one here, no reason to get out. All right, I'm not going to recommend this one because it's already bounced significantly off its bottom. Doesn't mean it can't pull down again. And if it does, maybe we'll look at it again for a possible buy for others, but you want to stay with that. Okay. So you're in good shape there. All right. Let's take a look at, for you here, KMX, CarMax. All right. So it's down, you're down 4% on this. So these are, you're long on these and you're down 4%. All right. So I don't know when you got in these, but notice the pyramid's down. Now that you have our software, that certainly could help. And again, let's take a look and see. I think at this time, you kind of can hold these. And there's some structure here I'm looking at here. The only thing I see on the horizon that would be trouble is if they took the equity out back in 2020 that's sitting there. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think basically we're looking at a basing, and I would imagine a move up. We no longer have red PTFs. So if you're in it now, I'd stay in it. Okay. If you're concerned about it going, much lower than 50, then put your stop under here, under this area here. But at this particular point, you're kind of in a channel. So you're, it may go back and forth a little bit, but if it breaks that channel to the upside, good. If it breaks down, then it's going down further. Okay. STZ, let's take a look at that one for you. And give that a second. And what you are there. See, 9%. You're down 9% on this one. All right. Well, now that you have the software, you can certainly see why you wouldn't be long here. Okay. Even if you got long thinking this was a bottom here, you'd be stopped out. Okay. So you wouldn't be still long, but you're only down 9%. So you got red here, and we do have yellow over here. So I think we're close to a bottom here, but by the same token, we've got a red PTF. So we're probably going to drop down at least, let me just grab a line here, at least to there. I think we're going to take that low out. Let me just see if there's any structure. That low being taken out would be taking equity out here and here. Okay, so that I think is going to happen. And then where it stops, that's the only thing that's kind of interesting. Are we going to take the equity out and then go? Or are we going to have another leg down? All right, so that's the question. So in any case here, what you could do, all right, is if you wanted to get out, you could certainly do that and then get back in after we see a more secure bottom holding, okay? Or you could keep it long now, maybe put your stop a little bit under this line here, but you have more equity here that they could take out. So it's kind of a tough call. Let's take a look here and see. You've got equity here that was taken out, but that was a fairly nice support area here, right? So they may just be getting all the orders in there that they can before driving it back up. But anyway, so I guess, I don't know, you're down 9%. I think there's got to be a place where you call it quits on it. So maybe put it under, a little under maybe here, like here, or just under here, right around there. Give it another 10 or 15 points. All right. So I'm going to let you make that call. But overall, you don't want to be short when the PTFs are red. And now that you have the software, you can more identify that more easily. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. Oh, you're fine, Ed. Don't worry about that. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Gene's right. Ed, you can enter as many as you want. We just like to do about three picks at a time to keep it moving, or that way everybody gets a chance. Okay, good. I think I've gone through them all, right? All right, so let me just rehash some of the good ones here. Okay, so LFGR is a buy, SMCI buy, and AMD is a buy. Okay, so we've got quite a few ones. Okay, so we got a number here. We got yeah, Gene's repeating that, SMCI, AMD, and yeah, really good picks. So I'm seeing more highs in the market based on a lot of these NASDAQ stocks. Let's take a quick look at the video before we call it a day here. All right, NVDA. And the other thing you have to also take into account is the market has had every reason to sell off. Now, before the successful operation against Iran, so to speak, people didn't know how that was going to turn out. And so that would have given the market an opportunity to sell off then, and it didn't do it. That's the sign of a bull trend. Okay. Now the market, now that that's done, it looks like it was successful. Now it's really moving, but also too, it's the sign of a bull trend. Ignores bad news and keeps moving up. But again, what we have to be careful as is when a lot of these NASDAQ stocks get to their next Fibonacci target, which is up here. Okay, I'll put T for target. Then we have to be concerned because I think that's going to coincide with the indexes making a new top then, and that is when we could see a sell-off. Okay, and Warren Buffett usually, like I said, usually starts covering his bases before that happens. All right, but he's usually fairly good at anticipating a next significant move down. So I think one more high here, and then we're gonna see it. Okay, so that's it for everybody. Have a great one, and we will see you back here next week. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and have a great week. Bye bye.